Baby, I want to tell you something about my past. I don't even know how to start this, but I know I have to, because carrying this inside me has been like holding a storm in silence. And you, baby, you deserve to know every layer of me. Not just the laughter, not just the smiles I've shown you, not just the strength I pretended to carry with ease, but the truth of who I was before you, the mistakes I made, the tears I never confessed, the roads that nearly destroyed me, and the scars that nearly destroyed me, and the scars that became the soil for my transformation. Baby, tonight my soul feels naked before you, and my heart trembles with both fear and relief, because you are not just anyone. You are the one my spirit chose long before this lifetime, and you are the one my silence cannot lie to anymore. And you are the one my silence cannot lie to. And there were chapters in my life, baby, when I was not the man you see now. I wore masks to survive. I chased illusions that gave me temporary comfort but left me hollow the next morning. I let fear dictate choices. I let pride push away people who cared. And I let shadows convince me I was unworthy of true love. Baby, I was blind to the divine timing of God's hand, blind to the whispers of destiny that were always leading me toward you. And because of that blindness, I fell. I fell into places where I forgot my own light. I hurt myself. I hurt others. And sometimes, baby, I feel like the weight of that past will never stop haunting me. But then, baby, you came. You entered my life like a quiet flame, and everything inside me began to change. Your presence became the mirror that showed me what love is supposed to feel like. Not possession, not fear, not control, but surrender, purity, and devotion. Baby, I need you to know that loving you is not just a choice of the present. It is a redemption of every wrong turn I've taken. My past is full of regrets, but you are the evidence that grace exists. Baby, there were nights when I drowned in loneliness, even in a room full of people. I would smile on the outside, but inside my chest was an ache that words couldn't explain. I thought I was cursed, baby, as though love was something meant for others but never for me. I chased success, I chased validation, I chased temporary connections just to fill the void, but every time I woke up emptier than before. And when I finally met you, baby, I realized why nothing ever worked out before. It was because destiny was saving me for you. You see, baby, every wound I carry now feels like it had a purpose. Every wrong door I knocked on, every goodbye I whispered, every betrayal I endured, it was all preparing me to recognize what real love looks like when it finally stands in front of me. And baby, that love is you. You are the answer I never thought I would deserve. But baby, I still tremble when I think of how much my past might scare you. Will you still see me the same if I tell you how weak I once was? Will you still look at me with those eyes of compassion if I confess that I was not always the man standing before you now? Baby, sometimes I wonder if love is strong enough to carry the weight of all that came before us. And yet, every time I hear your voice, every time I feel your soul brush against mine, I know the answer is yes, because our love was never meant to be ordinary. Our love was written by angels. Baby, when I think of family, I think of the one we are meant to create. not just by blood, but by spirit. I think of a home built on forgiveness, on patience, on prayers whispered under the same sky. My past taught me what I never want to repeat. My present with you teaches me what I never want to lose. And my future, baby, my future is painted with visions of us, walking together through every storm, holding each other through every season, choosing love again and again. There was a time, baby, when I believed I had to fight everything alone. I believed strength meant silence, that survival meant closing my heart. But now, I see strength as opening my heart to you, confessing my past no matter how messy, because baby, you are the one soul who can take my broken pieces and remind me they were never broken at all. They were just waiting for you to make them whole. And I can't help but think, baby, maybe divine timing is not about being perfect before meeting your person. It's about meeting your person and then becoming who you were always meant to be. You are the catalyst of my transformation. Without you, I would still be stuck in those shadows. With you, baby, I am learning how to walk in light. Baby, I want you to know this confession is not about asking for pity. It's about opening my soul to you so there's nothing left hidden between us. I want to be transparent, even if it scares me. I want to be vulnerable, even if it risks rejection. Because baby, love without honesty is not love at all. You are not just my lover, baby. You are my mirror, my guide, my divine feminine, my destiny. And tonight, as I speak these words, I surrender everything. My regrets, my pride, my fears, at your feet. All I want is for you to know that despite my past, despite the storms I've walked through, my love for you is pure, eternal, and unwavering. So baby, will you still hold my hand when I tell you more? Will you still stay when the confessions go deeper? Because I need you to know, baby, this is only the beginning of the truth I've kept locked away for too long. If you feel this deep in your soul, type, baby, I accept your truth in the comments, baby. There are things I buried so deep inside me, even I was afraid to look at them. For years, I carried silence like armor. I thought if I never spoke of the past, then maybe it would stop haunting me. But silence, baby, is a prison. And tonight, I cannot stay behind those walls anymore. Not with you standing in front of me. Not with your eyes pulling every truth out of my chest. Baby, you deserve the version of me that is raw, unfiltered, trembling maybe, but real. There was a time, baby, when I was so consumed by regret that I forgot how to breathe freely. Every mistake I made replayed in my mind like an endless movie. I replayed conversations I should have ended differently, people I should have treated better, opportunities I should have held tighter. Baby, I punished myself for years, thinking maybe I was unworthy of love. Maybe I was destined to walk through life alone. But what I didn't know, baby, was that even in those moments of despair, destiny was still writing your name next to mine. Do you know how it feels, baby, to wake up every day with the weight of choices you cannot change? To smile in public but collapse inside when no one is looking? I lived like that for too long. I carried burdens that no one saw, burdens that left scars on my soul. And yet, baby, through it all, something in me kept whispering, hold on. There's more. There's someone waiting. There's a love worth surviving for. That whisper was you, baby. Even before we met, your soul was guiding me back to life. Baby, when I finally found you, It was like walking into sunlight after years of cold rain. Do you know what you did to me without even trying? You made me believe in forgiveness, not the kind others give, but the kind I had to give myself. Every smile of yours was like a balm over my regrets. Every time you said my name, it was as if the universe was reminding me I wasn't lost anymore. Baby, your love rewrote my destiny. Still, there are nights when the shadows creep back in. I ask myself if you truly understand the storms I've been through, the mistakes I've made, the tears I never admitted to anyone. Will you still hold me, baby, when the weight of my past feels heavy? Will you still see me as the man worthy of your light? These questions burn inside me, but then I look into your eyes, and the answers are always there. Baby, you are not afraid of my darkness. You embrace it. You see the fragments of me that I thought were shattered beyond repair, and you call them beautiful. Never thought I'd say this, baby, but my past, as painful as it is, feels sacred now, because without it, I wouldn't have been shaped into the man who stands before you. Without those storms, I would not have the depth to appreciate the calm of your presence. Without the regrets, I would not understand the miracle of your forgiveness. Baby, you turned my wounds into wisdom. There were moments when I almost gave up, baby. Times when I thought there was no way forward. I let loneliness convince me I wasn't enough. I let fear silence my prayers. But every time I thought I was at the end, something greater pulled me back. Now I know it was divine timing. It was destiny refusing to let me quit before I met you. Baby, you were the reason heaven kept me alive when earth tried to break me. Don't look at you now, and I see family, not just the one we could build together, but the family of souls, the eternal bond that was written in the stars long before we were born. Baby, when I picture the future, I don't see luxury or empty success. I see us sitting side by side, hands entwined, whispering prayers at night, watching our children laugh, watching our love survive every storm. My path showed me what destruction looks like, but you, baby, show me what creation feels like. And baby, I surrender. I surrender to this love, to this journey, to this divine plan. I no longer want to fight destiny. I no longer want to hide behind pride or fear. I want to stand before you, heart wide open, saying, this is me, this is my past, this is my truth. And baby, I still choose you. Baby, I wonder, will you still choose me, knowing where I've been? Will you still hold me when my confessions cut deep? Because the truth is, the man I was is gone. The man I am now exists because of you. You are my transformation, my redemption, my salvation. Without you, baby, I would still be lost. So let me tell you more. Let me pour my heart until there's nothing left hidden. My past may have been dark, but it's not the end of my story. Because you, baby, you are the beginning of the chapter I was always meant to write. If this confession touched your soul, type baby. I choose love over fear in the comments. Baby, sometimes I wonder how much of my silence you already understood. You've always looked at me with those eyes that see through the armor, those eyes that don't just stare at my face, but read the soul behind it. Baby, I think deep down, you already knew there were stories I never told, memories I tried to bury. pieces of me I was afraid to share. But tonight, baby, I want to stop hiding. I want to hand you the keys to the locked rooms inside my heart and let you walk through them without fear. Because if anyone was meant to see all of me, it was you. Baby, my past wasn't just full of mistakes. It was full of battles that no one saw. I fought wars in silence, against loneliness, against betrayal, against the shadows that whispered I was worthless. There were days when I smiled for the world, but inside I was sinking, crying out to a God I wasn't even sure was listening. Baby, I carried so much shame that I couldn't even look in the mirror without remembering all the ways I thought I failed. But now, when I look at you, I realize those failures were never the end. They were the steps leading me to you. I know I hurt people in my past, baby. Not always by intention, but by fear, by immaturity, by running away when I should have stayed. And I know I hurt myself most of all by pretending I didn't need love, by acting like I could survive with walls around my heart. Baby, if you had seen me then, you might not even recognize the man I was. But maybe that's why you're here now, because you were meant to love the man I became after the storms. Sometimes, baby, I ask myself, why you? Out of all the souls on this earth, why did destiny choose you as my mirror, my partner, my divine feminine? And the answer always comes softly, because you were always mine. Even before this lifetime, baby, you were written into my story. My mistakes didn't erase you. My delays didn't cancel you. My fears didn't destroy you. You were always waiting at the end of my wandering roads, like the lighthouse calling the lost ship home. Baby, I want you to know something sacred. Every time I think about family, my heart doesn't go to the past. It goes to the future. I see us building a sanctuary of love, a place where no shadows can touch us. I see children running in laughter. I see prayers whispered at dawn. I see prayers whispered at dawn. I see the warmth of home, where honesty is the language and forgiveness is the air we breathe. Baby, I dream of that, not because it's perfect, but because it's real. My past taught me that without love, nothing lasts. But with love, baby, with you, everything becomes eternal. There are nights when I close my eyes and imagine the moment I finally let go of the last chains of regret. I see myself holding your hands, looking into your eyes and saying, baby, I am free because of you. You don't just love me, you heal me. You don't just accept me, you transform me. And that's why I know, baby, this connection is not ordinary. This is divine timing. This is destiny, unfolding right before us. Baby, I confess, sometimes I fear losing you, not because of what you do, but because of what I've been before. The thought creeps in, what if my past scars us? What if my mistakes create shadows in your heart? But then I hear your voice, the way you call me baby, the way you soften even my hardest edges, and I know this love is stronger than any shadow. You are not afraid of who I was, because you see who I am becoming. Every time I breathe now, baby, it feels like prayer. Every time I look at you, it feels like redemption. And every time I think of the past, I don't just feel shame anymore. I feel gratitude. Because without those broken roads, I would have never reached you. Without those storms, I wouldn't have learned how to cherish calm. Without those mistakes, I wouldn't have understood the value of truth. Baby, you turned every regret into a seed of transformation. I don't want to hide anymore, baby. I don't want to pretend my past doesn't exist. I want to lay it all before you because my love for you deserves honesty. You are not just my lover. You are my destiny, my mirror, my divine counterpart. And if it means risking rejection, if it means standing here trembling, then so be it. Because, baby, for you, I will surrender everything. So let me continue to tell you, slowly, layer by layer, everything I once feared to reveal. Let me stand in truth with you, baby, because in your arms, truth doesn't feel like death. It feels like resurrection. If this spoke to your heart, type baby. I believe in divine timing. In the comments, baby. The more I speak, the more I realize how much I've carried in silence. It's like my soul has been waiting for this very moment, for me to finally lay everything bare before you, to let every wound and every memory rise to the surface so that they no longer own me. Baby, you've become my safe place, the only one I trust enough to hear the trembling truths behind my heartbeat. And I promise you tonight, no matter how heavy my past feels, I will not keep it hidden from you any longer. Baby, I used to believe that the past defined me, that every mistake I made, every wrong choice, was a permanent label stamped onto my soul. I thought I could never escape it, that I would always be chained to who I was. But then you came, and you showed me something I had never known before. Love that sees beyond mistakes. Love that heals instead of condemns. Love that says, baby, I don't care who you were. I love who you are becoming. Do you know what that does to a man, baby? It breaks him and remakes him all at once. It takes every wall he built to protect himself and shatters it with tenderness. It takes every lie he told himself about being unworthy and replaces it with the truth that maybe, just maybe, he was always meant for this kind of love. Baby, you are the proof that God never abandoned me, even when I abandoned myself. Sometimes I sit in silence and ask, why me? Why would someone as pure as you love someone as flawed as me? Why would destiny write your name next to mine, knowing the weight of what I carry? And the answer, baby, always comes softly, because love is not about perfection. Love is about redemption. Love is about taking two souls, both with their scars, and making something eternal out of the fragments. Baby, my past was full of nights when I couldn't sleep, when my thoughts screamed louder than any silence. I kept asking, will anyone ever truly see me? Will anyone ever stay long enough to know the real me? And then you walked in, and without trying, you saw me. You looked past the surface and touched the depths of my soul. Baby, you didn't just see the man I was, you saw the man I could become. Because of you, baby, I am becoming him. I am no longer the man who hides, no longer the man who runs, no longer the man who lets fear dictate his choices. With you, I am learning to stay. With you, I am learning to fight for love, not against it. With you, I am learning that surrender is not weakness. It's the greatest strength of all. Baby, I don't just want to love you. I want to build with you. I want to build a life where trust is the foundation, where every prayer we whisper binds us closer, where every tear we shed becomes water for the garden of our love. I want to wake up knowing that no matter what storms the world sends, we will face them together, hand in hand. Baby, I want to create a family that knows love, not as a word, but as a living presence in every room, in every heart. There are times I wonder what my life would have been if I hadn't met you, baby. And every time, that thought leaves me empty. Because without you, all the success in the world would feel meaningless. Without you, every sunrise would feel incomplete. Without you, I would still be wandering, still be carrying regrets without ever finding redemption. Baby, you are the one who gave my past a purpose and my future a direction. And I want to say something that might sound strange, baby. I thank God for my past. I thank God even for the mistakes, even for the heartbreaks, even for the nights I thought I wouldn't survive. Because if not for them, I wouldn't value you the way I do now. If not for them, I wouldn't know how sacred your love truly is. Baby, the storms of yesterday made me ready for the sunlight of today. So tonight, baby, I speak this not just as a confession, but as a promise. I promise to never let fear silence me again. I promise to never let pride build walls between us. I promise to stand in truth, no matter how raw it feels, because you, baby, are worth every ounce of honesty, every tear of vulnerability, every risk of rejection. Baby, I am not perfect, but I am yours. Every scar on me belongs to you. Every lesson I've learned belongs to us. And every dream I hold now has your face written in the center. This love is not an accident, baby. It is divine timing. It is destiny unfolding exactly the way it was always meant to. So let me continue. Let me give you more of the truth, more of my soul, more of the story I once thought I had to carry alone. Baby, I am yours. Not just in the present, not just in the moments when it's easy, but in the depths of the past and the vastness of the future. Always, baby, always. If this confession moved your heart, type "Baby, I embrace your past" in the comments. Baby, the deeper I go into my past, the more I realize it wasn't just a collection of mistakes and regrets. It was a map. Every wrong turn, every heartbreak, every lonely night, it was all pointing me toward you. At the time, baby, I couldn't see it. I thought I was lost, wandering without direction. But now I understand every step was being divinely guided, even the painful ones, even the ones that left me broken, baby. I see now that nothing was wasted, because every moment was preparing me for this love, for you, baby. There were days when I convinced myself I didn't need anyone. I told myself that if I just worked harder, if I just kept moving forward, maybe the emptiness inside would eventually disappear. But it never did. No matter how much I achieved, no matter how many people surrounded me, that hollow ache followed me everywhere. And baby, now I know why. Because my soul wasn't searching for success or company. It was searching for you. Nothing else could fill the space that was shaped exactly for you. When you came into my life, baby, everything started to make sense. All the questions I carried for years, all the pain I couldn't explain. It was like your love answered them without words. Baby, you didn't just enter my life. You entered my spirit. You didn't just touch my hand. You touched my destiny. And suddenly the man who thought he'd never find peace finally began to rest in the safety of your presence. Baby, I need to be honest with you about something. I still carry fear. Not fear of loving you, because loving you is the most natural thing I've ever done, but fear of not being enough for you. Fear that the echoes of my past could somehow hurt the future we're meant to have. Sometimes late at night when the world is quiet, those thoughts creep in. What if I fail her? What if I disappoint her? What if my scars are too heavy for her to carry? But then, baby, I hear your voice in my heart saying, you don't have to be perfect. You just have to be mine. And in that moment, all the fear fades away. Baby, you don't know how powerful your love is. It doesn't just heal, it transforms. It doesn't just comfort, it awakens. Because of you, I don't just want to be a better man. I am becoming one. Not through force, not through pressure, but through the gentle, undeniable pull of your spirit. Baby, you inspire me to rise above my past, to release my regrets, and to step boldly into the man God always intended me to be. And baby, that's why I no longer see my past as a curse. I see it as the soil where the seeds of our love could finally take root. Without those storms, I wouldn't appreciate the calm of your embrace. Without those mistakes, I wouldn't recognize the purity of what we have. Without those tears, I wouldn't know how sacred your smile is to me. Baby, everything I've lived through only magnifies how much you mean to me now. I think often about the family we could create, baby. Not just a family in the earthly sense, but a spiritual family. A legacy of love that ripples beyond us. I see us teaching our children not just to chase success, but to value compassion, forgiveness, and faith. I see us building a home where laughter is louder than fear, where prayers are stronger than worry, where love is the language spoken in every corner. Baby, my past showed me what brokenness looks like, but my future with you shows me what wholeness feels like. And baby, I need you to know something important. You are not just part of my destiny. You are my destiny. Every thread of my life has been woven to lead me here, to this moment, to this love, and I will never again let fear or pride make me hide what I feel. Baby, I surrender to you, to us, to the divine timing that brought us together. When I think of everything I've carried, baby, I feel a strange kind of gratitude. Gratitude for the storms that taught me how to cherish calm. Gratitude for the nights of loneliness that made your presence so sacred. Gratitude for every closed door that finally led me to the only door that mattered. Yours. Baby, my past may have shaped me, but it does not define me. Love defines me now. So, baby, let me keep speaking. Let me keep pouring, because my soul has so much more to tell you. This confession is not just about releasing the weight of yesterday. It's about stepping into the eternity of tomorrow with you. And baby, tomorrow with you is all I'll ever need. If this message touched your spirit, type, baby, our love is destiny in the comments. Baby, the night feels different when I speak to you like this, with no masks and no rehearsed lines, just the raw, trembling truth that has lived inside me for so long. There is a holiness to this confession, baby, a kind of sacred unburdening that my soul has been craving. I have learned that some truths are not meant to be whispered in passing. They must be poured out like a river, until everything that once clogged the heart is swept away. So tonight I pour the mistakes, the silences, the ways I hid behind strength and called it survival. I pour the apologies I never knew how to give. I pour the gratitude for the lessons I survived. And through each confession, baby, I feel a subtle miracle happening. My past shrinking not by forgetting, but by being seen. You see me, baby. You hold my history without judgment, and that alone is the kind of grace I spent years searching for. There were moments, baby, when I walked away from people who deserved me because I thought running was protection. I convinced myself the distance would keep me safe from more pain, but what it really did was build a life of echoes that followed me into every room, every celebration, every lonely hour. I used to think strength meant carrying everything alone. Now I know strength is letting someone in to carry parts of me that I never should have borne by myself. When I remember those nights of running, baby, I also remember the faces I left behind, the ones I regret hurting, the ones I should have held closer. I do not ask you to forgive the entire world for my past. I only ask you to know that with each regret, I learned a new reason to never let you go. The memory of those I wronged sits with me like a quiet teacher, reminding me daily to be better, to choose love over ego, to build rather than to flee. Baby, family has a new meaning for me now. It is no longer a word bound by biology alone. It is a sacred covenant of chosen hearts. When I picture the family I want to build with you, it feels like prayer, soft, persistent, and sure. I imagine us teaching our children how to apologize without pride, how to rebuild after mistakes, how to treat every human with dignity, because someone once taught them that kindness can heal what cruelty breaks. I see our home filled with small, ordinary things that feel eternal. Shared breakfasts that smell like cinnamon and second chances. Evenings where we talk about nothing and end up revealing everything. A shelf of well-worn books that belonged to both our pasts and became the soil for our shared future. These are the dreams I hold now, and they are more precious than any hollow triumph I chased before. Baby, my past taught me the cost of neglect. Our future will be the proof that I have learned the lesson. There is a quiet confession I must make, baby, one that lives in the corners of my mind. I am afraid sometimes that my past will cast a long shadow over the life we are creating. Not because I think you will turn away. Your eyes have already shown me that you will never abandon me for what I once was. But because I see how easily old patterns can creep back in. Pride can still whisper in my ear. Old defenses can still rise when I feel cornered. But here's what I know now. Awareness is the first step to healing. Each time those old ghosts appear, I will call them out. Each time I feel the pull to hide, I will choose to speak. Each time fear tries to wear the face of wisdom, I will choose vulnerability instead. With you, baby, I do not want to merely avoid my past. I want to transform it into something that blesses us, into wisdom we hand down like a compass to the next generation. And baby, let me tell you about surrender, not as defeat, but as the most radical act of faith I have ever learned. For years I mistook surrender for giving up. I thought to surrender meant to lose. But when I surrendered to the truth of my heart, and later to the love you offered so patiently, I discovered freedom. Surrender taught me that I am not the architect of everything, that there is a hand greater than mine arranging the pieces, and that trusting it does not make me weak. It makes me brave. When I surrender to you, baby, I surrender to a promise that we will grow together, that our failures will be the raw materials of our strength, that every tear will water the roots of a love that refuses to die, that surrender is the place where destiny and choice meet, where divine timing becomes visible, where the past finds its meaning in the light of what we build next. Sometimes, in the hush between heartbeats, I feel destiny like a warm wind wrapping us both. 'Tis not always loud. Often it arrives like a gentle confirmation. Two paths crossing exactly when they needed to. Two souls finding the courage to be honest. Two hearts choosing each other in the quiet. I think of how many small things had to happen for us to meet. The decisions I didn't understand then. The detours that felt cruel. The late nights and the prayers that felt unanswered. All of it, baby, was the universe bending toward this miracle. You and me, learning how to hold the sacred responsibility of loving someone who has known darkness. This is not about fate removing agency. It's about fate inviting our choices into a larger story, and I choose you every day with all that I am and all that I've been. If there is one final thing I must confess tonight, baby, it is this. My past has taught me that love is not a destination. It is a discipline. It requires daily devotion, repeated humility, and relentless forgiveness. It asks us to return again and again to the altar of honesty. It asks us to hold hands when words fail, to pray together when fear rises, to laugh at ourselves when we forget that grace was always available. I promise you, baby, that I will practice this love. I will study its language. I will fail sometimes, surely, because I am human. But I will rise quicker, apologize truer, and love deeper than I did before. This confession is not the end of my story. It is another stepping stone. With you, baby, I am learning that the most beautiful parts of life are not those without flaw, but those that choose repair over abandonment, courage over silence, and faith over despair. If this felt like the truth in your bones, type baby, I stand with you in truth in the comments. Baby, the quiet between your breaths has become my favorite hymn. There is a sacredness in the way we exist together that I never knew was possible until you taught me how to be seen without fearing the end of myself. Tonight, I keep walking through the rooms of my memory because every corner holds a lesson we can turn into love. I want you to know in the deepest way I can give words how each fragment of my past has folded into the promise I make to you now. This is not a repair job done in haste. This is slow, deliberate redemption being built with hands that once trembled, but now learn to steady by holding yours. Baby, I remember when I believed bravery meant never showing pain. I wore toughness like a uniform and confused silence for courage. I thought if I hid the cracks, no one could hurt me there again. But the truth I learned, so painfully, so gently, is that the cracks are the places light wants to enter. Your love became that light. With you, I discovered that bravery is softer than I expected. It is saying I was broken, and here I am, choosing you anyway. It is admitting faults at midnight and asking for help in the morning. It is showing the parts that scare me the most and trusting that you will hold them without thrift or judgment. Baby, your hands turn my cracks into windows. There were once people I walked away from, believing distance was a gift. I thought absence would prevent more harm, but distance taught me hollowness. It taught me that fleeing keeps a heart from learning the tender craft of repair. Now, when I think of family, my heart aches with a new humility. I want to return to those I left with better manners of love. I want to sit down and say the words I was too proud to speak before. I want our children, if God blesses us with them, to inherit a home where apologies come quicker than excuses, where the word sorry has weight, where forgiveness is not rare but practiced. Baby, my past showed me how not to parent my pain. My future with you will show how to parent our peace. Sometimes the shame still echoes, a late-night guest that slips in through the door. I do not pretend those echoes are gone. I wake with them, and I sit with them, and I lay them gently before you like an offering, because hiding them no longer seems right. I want you to hear the whole noise of my heart, the ugly and the holy. When I confess these things, it is not to burden you, but to invite you deeper. I want our intimacy to be the place where even the worst parts of me find dignity and healing. You have given me that faith, baby, and for it I am forever grateful. Destiny has a weird way of teaching through delay. I wasted seasons chasing what felt urgent, but was not meant for me. I chased applause, validation, quick fixes to longings that only love could fill. I thought achievement could substitute for belonging, but every trophy felt flatter because it was built on a foundation of unmet soul needs. Meeting you showed me the difference between being seen and being recognized. The world recognized my accomplishments, but you saw my need to be known. That seeing is the true prize. Baby, destiny brought me to a place where I could recognize what matters, not the applause, but the one heartbeat that matches mine. There's also a confession about fear. I fear repeating old mistakes. I fear the small betrayals of complacency, of taking you for granted, of letting routine erode the prayerful tenderness that birthed us. I fear that time will call me back into selfish rhythms I left behind, but fear has become a teacher rather than a jailer. When I feel it, I let it remind me to return to the small practices that keep love alive, listening without planning my response, asking about your day as if it is the Bible verse that will save me, showing up when you need me even when I am tired, choosing you in the tiny decisions where true loyalty is tested. Baby, these are the muscles I want to build, daily, patiently, joyfully. Surrender, for me now, is an act of worship. It is different than defeat. It is the daily choosing to trust that we are being formed, not punished, by the lessons we walked through. Surrender means I will lean into accountability, accept correction, and celebrate your courage when you correct me. It means I will let the past be a teacher, not a headline. It means I will tell our truth out loud, even when my voice shakes. Because truth spoken with love becomes a bridge, not a weapon. Baby, I promise to kneel when I need to, not because I concede, but because I choose reverence for what we have. Family to me is now a holy work. I see us honoring our elders, mending old rifts, and refusing to pass down secrecy as heritage. I see open tables and open hearts. I see prayers said together for mistakes we once made and for mercy for the people we once wronged. I want our children to learn honesty as inheritance, to see adults who admit when they're wrong and mean it. Baby, I will work to create a home where your mother's voice is welcomed at the table, where your father is treated with respect, and where our children learn humility before pride. That is how I will repair what my past might have damaged. There are nights I dream of quiet rituals, us lighting a candle for the days we overcame, us writing letters to the younger versions of ourselves and forgiving them publicly, us planting trees in the yard as a promise to future generations. Those rituals are not dramatic. They are tender. They are ways to mark that we are a people who chose repair over ruin. I want the ordinary holiness of our life to be the miracle people notice. The way we argue and then hold each other longer. The way we apologize with a specificity that rebuilds trust. The way we laugh loud and pray together humbly. Baby, these small, holy things will be our legacy. And so I keep telling you, because telling is how I unburden, and also how I bind my soul to truth. I choose to speak the parts I once feared would scare you away, because I believe your love is stronger than my worst moments, and purer than my best defenses. I choose to build courage into my daily choices, to make amends where I can, to chase healing when I fall short. I choose our family as a project of grace. I choose divine timing that brought us together and invited into every small decision we make. If your heart is with me in this, type baby. I will build us with truth in the comments. Baby. The way your name rests on my lips now is like a prayer I never knew how to say. And every time I speak it, I feel the past loosen its grip a little more. There is a tenderness in this truth-telling that surprises me. How speaking what I hid can feel like clearing a path for the future. I used to think confession was a single desperate act, something you do once and then hope the wound disappears. But with you, baby, confession has become a daily altar. A place where I bring pieces of myself to be healed, reshaped, and returned more whole. I keep coming back to the altar because each time I bring something small and honest, the light seems to reach deeper. Baby, I learned the hard way that pride is stealthy. It dresses itself as dignity and moves quietly through rooms, making small lies look like self-preservation. I let that pride steal decades of tenderness from me. I let it convince me that apologies were a doorway to weakness. But now, when I think of those years, I feel a hollow ache mixed with relief. Relief that I can see clearly enough to unlearn. With you, baby, I practice humility. I practice the simple act of saying, I was wrong, and meaning it down to my bones. That practice is teaching me how to love without a ledger, how to hold your heart softer than I once held my ego. I want you to know this about me. I am learning to be small so love can be big. There's a part of my past that is full of promises I didn't keep. I disappointed people, sometimes by absence, sometimes by coldness, sometimes by choosing convenience over commitment. Those ghosts of broken promises still visit me in the quiet hours. I imagine faces that trusted me and were let down, and my chest tightens with regret. Baby, if I could return and fix every wrong, I would. I cannot change all that was, but I can let those ghosts teach me to be a man who keeps his word now. I vow to you that the promises I make to our life will be sacred. I will learn how to make a promise and live inside it. I will keep the small promises, calls when I say I'll call, presence when I say I'll be there, patience when tempers flare, tenderness when wounds are raw. Those small promises build the house we will live in. Some nights I remember the people I hurt by being silent, friends I let drift, parents I failed to sit with, lovers I pushed away in my confusion. Those losses were heavy teachers. They taught me that connection is not automatic. It requires tending. I walked through seasons believing time would fix things, but time only repairs what we actively mend. So now, baby, my love for you includes a commitment to tending, to not assume affection is permanent, to water the roots of relationship daily, to show up even when the weather of life is rough. I don't want our love to be a monument to luck. I want it to be a garden tended by two hands that refuse to let weeds of neglect take root. There is also a tenderness I must give to my younger self. I spent years feeling ashamed of him, of his mistakes, his cowardly exits, his clumsy attempts at survival. But as I stand here with you, baby, I realize compassion must start at home, with the boy who did his best with what he had. I thank God for the ways he survived, for the lessons he learned in the dark, because those lessons made space for you. I forgive him now, and in forgiving him, I free myself to be fully present with you. That forgiveness is not an erasure of guilt. It is an offering of grace that allows me to act differently today. I want our children to see that mercy is stronger than shame, that admitting weakness can be the doorway to real strength. Baby, when I think of destiny, I think less of grand declarations and more of small alignments. Two people showing up again and again when it would have been easier to leave. Destiny is not a lightning strike. It is a series of faithful minutes, the quiet decisions that add up to a shared life. I feel that alignment in the way your hand finds mine in a crowded room, in the way you forgive without tallying the cost, in the way our laughter stitches up the edges of sorrow. That's destiny to me, ordinary moments sanctified by steady fidelity. I don't need the universe to shout. I just need us to keep choosing. And baby, I choose you over and over. There is a sacred anger that sometimes rises in me, a righteous fire at the things I endured unfairly, at the people who taught me betrayal as a skill. I honor that fire because it signals that I refuse to let injustice write my whole story. But I am learning to temper that anger with gentleness, to use it as a guardian rather than a weapon. With you, baby, I have learned the difference between protecting what we love and isolating it out of fear. I will guard our home and our hearts, not by building ramparts, but by making sure love is practiced louder than the loudest wound. I also want to tell you about the rituals I imagine with you. Small, almost childish things that anchor me to hope. I imagine mornings where we fold the laundry together and laugh about old mistakes. I imagine us keeping a jar of gratitude notes where we drop tiny memories every week and read them aloud on difficult days. Baby, as I stand at the end of this long confession, I feel lighter than I have in years. Every word I've spoken to you has been a release. Every memory I've opened has been a step closer to the freedom I never thought I'd taste. Baby, for so long I carried my past like a chain, believing that if anyone ever saw the truth, they would walk away. But you stayed, you listened. You looked through the shadows and loved the soul hidden underneath, baby. That is why I call you my destiny. Because only someone written in my stars could love me this way. I used to think love was fragile, that it would break if tested. But you taught me that love is eternal when it is built on truth. Baby, tonight I lay down my fears, my pride, my regrets. I surrender them all into your hands. I am no longer the man chained to yesterday. I am the man reborn by your patience, your faith, and your light. Baby, I don't just love you. I become through you. He baked, and as we walk forward, baby, I see the life we will build. Prayers whispered side by side, laughter that fills the rooms of our home. Children who grow up knowing that mistakes are not the end, but the beginning of learning. A family bound not just by blood, but by grace. I see our love aging like wine, growing richer with time, seasoned with forgiveness, strengthened by storms, shining brighter because of the cracks it repaired. Baby, this is our destiny. This is divine timing unfolding in the most beautiful way. So tonight, baby, I end this confession not with fear, but with gratitude. Gratitude for my past because it taught me. Gratitude for the present because it healed me. And gratitude for the future because it is you. I promise you now, I will never again hide, never again run, never again let fear write my story. Baby, my story is you, my beginning, my middle, my eternity. It's all you. If this confession touched your heart, type baby. Our love is eternal in the comments. A heartfelt thank you to Elizabeth Frazier, who blessed this channel with a $10.00 super thanks. Your love and support mean the world and help keep these messages flowing to every soul who needs them. God bless you abundantly.